You're tuning in to the J Blast Network. Oh yeah, welcome to the next level. '97 was a grand year for the PlayStation, with classics dropping like flies. Final Fantasy VII, Tomb Raider 2, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and of course, Crash Bandicoot 2. The success of Crash 1 was not to be ignored. Finally, Sony had a competitor to Mario, and they had to evolve it to its fullest potential. Naughty Dog had a real gem on their hands, and the hype for a sequel could not be contained. Enter Crash 2, Cortex Strikes Back, a game where, well, I'll let Crash explain it.
See that? Hi, I'm Crash Bandicoot, the super marsupial, the wonder from down under, the rocket with a pocket. You may remember me from my last adventure where I just, saved the world. You're welcome. And now I have to do it again. You're just in time to see my new digs. Crash 2 is incredible! It's bigger, deeper, even wider! It has over 30 levels. It's absolutely and totally different than anything you've ever experienced.
Them advertising was something, but hey, they worked. And Crash was back, bigger than ever, with new moves, new stages, new vehicles, and new baddies to beat up, and to team up with. Yeah, Crash and Cortex team up in a game called Cortex Strikes Back. Come on now, at least change the subtitle. Regardless, Crash 2 would end up being a phenomenal success and set the standard for Crash's gameplay moving forward, fixing many of the issues of the original game. But was it enough to keep the Bandicoot spinning in the crates of cash? Hi, my name is Jay. You're tuning in to the J Blast Network, as we take you back to a blast of the past to discover why Crash's success was more than just a Cortex Conspiracy, as we take a look back at Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. Back in the Bandicoot, Crash 2 starts us off with Crash and new character Coco, Crash's sister, relaxing on Insanity Beach, until
my battery is fried. Make yourself useful, big brother, and bring an extra battery for me.
While searching for batteries, Crash is to Dr. Cortex?
Well. If it isn't Crash Bandicoot, welcome. I apologize for the crude means used to bring you here, but I rather expect a written invitation would have been turned down. I need your help. Surrounding you are a series of 5 doors. Through each door lies a well-hidden crystal. The crystals look like this. Bring me the crystals, Crash. That is all I will say for now. We will speak again.
Yeah, he's totally not gonna betray us or anything. It's not like the first cutscene showed him plotting or the game's title told us anything at all. Well, we'll have to worry about that later. You got boxes to break and crystals to take. But there's one question that might be on some people's mind. What happened to Tana? Well, there's 2 answers to that. One, she was too extreme for the game, or for children at the time, I guess. And the other story is that she ran away with Pinstripe from the last game. Now, I don't like that second answer. Let's just say that she's on vacation somewhere. Anyway, back to the game. Crash 2 follows the same format as the first game in terms of how levels are designed. It's still a challenging linear platform where boxes can sidetrack you, which is fine, but its little improvements are what bring Crash 2 above the first game. We got new moves being the slide and the ground slam. The slam mostly utilized for boxes, with more doable crates being added to give it more use. The slide, however, is where traversal really improves, as sliding can lead to a boost forward when jumping, and when combining it with a spin, you can jump higher vertically. Learning to utilize the slide well will help tackle some of the less forgiving areas in the game, and is almost needed for the later half. You can also gain speed by sliding and spinning right after, which is the tactic many speedrunners use, including myself. Honestly, having the slide makes it hard to go back to the first game. Crash almost feels naked without it.
Wow! Whoa! Good thing I'm not wearing tight pants, because they would have ripped for sure. Woo!
Crash moves weren't the only thing that improved though, as level navigation has changed for the better. Crash now has a warp room tower to traverse to each world with different floors, and the best part of it is that it comes with a save function. Finally, you can save regularly and not have to go through some dumb bonus room and win in a random level. And if you game over, you just go back to the warp room, and not where you last saved. Now, let me be clear. I don't mind the challenge of the first game, but it has some issues such as saving that went beyond the challenge of the game and was just an inconvenience to the player. I mean, this game came out in 1996, when even before that, the NES and the Genesis games had traditional save systems. It was definitely something that needed to be dropped. And for what's changed in the levels themselves, now you have to collect a crystal if you want to progress at all, instead of just getting to the goal. These crystals are just given to you really, and none of them are going to be in some cryptic or hard area to reach like the boxes. In that instance, they might as well have given you the crystal at the end of the level. It really wouldn't make that much of a difference. Though it is funny to see what Cortex says if you miss one.
No, Crash. I said bring me the crystals! Now, get back in there.
You'll still need to collect boxes to get gems. The color gems are still here too, but with the new moves and having a functional save system, getting gems is much more manageable as long as you can hold your sanity trying to grab into these, well, insane levels. Raising the scope from the last game, Crash 2 has us traversing the entire world to collect the crystals instead of just one set of islands. In theory, this means the locations will be more varied than the first game, and on paper, it may seem like that, but in reality, it might not be. We start out in jungles, which are similar to the theme for the first game, but they do look different enough to feel new. Then there's the snow areas that hold dumb animals and ice physics, which both combined leads to your death. But really, for the most part, these levels are enjoyable and have some of my favorite aesthetic in the game. Then there are the sewers, which are filled with grime, electric eels that'll shock the walker, sweeping robots, and these dickhead welders who are so precise with their fire that even the tiniest pixel of the fire will kill you. Freaking assholes. Then there's the, well, I'll let Crash tell you again.
Wow, that was intense! Woo! I just flew in from the new ruins level, and boy, are my arms tired.
The ruins level contains pitfalls and booby traps itching to kill you, along with these white apes throwing logs out of their ass. Seriously, I freaking hate these guys so much. Like, I'm just trying to jump, bro. Leave me alone. And then the last theme is space. That's pretty much it for the themes, but there are some differences in between them. For instance, there are jungle river levels and snow levels where you ride polar. Vehicles were also added, well, 2 of them, that being the jetboard and the jetpack. We'll talk about that jetpack later, but the jetboard I found very fun to use and it controls very well. I just wish there were more sections where you could perform cool tricks. The polar levels are also great and control much better than those stupid hogs from the first game. Polar is cooler too, and no, that wasn't a nice pun. Chase levels also return, except one of them has you being chased by a giant polar bear, which is freaking awesome. Chases now have these mines which send Crash to the air upon contact, slowing them down. They can be pretty hard to see when running towards the camera, and it really feels like a slog when you get hit. That's pretty much all the themes of the game, and as you can probably tell if you played the first game, the variety here is severely lacking. Now, they do combine the themes sometimes, but that is it, and for the most part, there's no sense of progression like the first. In Crash 1, you had repeat themes, but each island carried its own sub-theme. For instance, the ruins area only appeared on the second island, and the Cortex factory levels, which most all had differences, only appeared on the third island. And you could see where you were heading in some places, like in the ruins. Again, you can see the third island and see Cortex's castle. This gave a sense of progression and enhanced gameplay, as it felt like you were on this grand adventure. Now I understand why you don't see other levels since we were traveling around the world and you're practically in the enemy's base, but the variety is another thing. Like, there are no deserts, volcanoes, cities, there isn't anything besides jungles and snow really. Different parts of the warp room are themed after levels like jungle, sewer, and snow, but the fourth one has a lava or mining theme, and yet we get no levels that go with that theme. Nope, instead, in that warp room we're introduced to a combination of jungle and snow. Ooh boy, I know it's just aesthetics, but I can understand why someone who liked the first game will feel gimped from the second when it comes to the adventure aspect. And that's something that not only this game, but future Crash games would lack, sadly. It's not something that brings the game down really, just an observation to take when looking at the little aspects that would enhance the big picture. You know, I tell you what is going to be big though, it's that death count, because damn, god damn, hold on, bruh. Alright, we gotta dive deeper into these levels. I'm out for blood on this one, folks. We're name dropping here. Though, let's first discuss how levels in Crash are designed. You see, all Crash levels really are straight lines, but the amount of inhabitants in them, such as enemies and boxes, makes the levels intriguing. And it's not just these things that are here, but how they are placed throughout the world. Crash gameplay heavily relies on flow state, which can be described as being in the state of which the player is able to float through the levels, or really just being able to beat the levels without interruptions and everything just kind of clicks. It's hard to explain because it really comes down to the natural ability of a player, but the game developers do think about it. Essentially, no matter how hard a level is, everything is set for when you understand it, so you can just move throughout the level like a rhythm. This will work no matter which goal you're trying to achieve, even if you're just trying to beat the level or you're trying to 100% a level. Even levels such as Slippery Climb from the first game had this. You had to just get good. The point is that Crash 2 keeps this design philosophy, and most linear platformers, 3D or 2D, keep this to make the straight line they make feel like an actual world. It's genius design that goes unnoticed until you really start to dig into how the game was designed. Now that we know how it works, let's compare the levels of Crash 2. Now on the surface it will seem easier than 1, and it really is easier even at its hardest, but that doesn't make it easy. Difficulty is more gradual here, with each warp room being harder than the next rather than letting go of your hand near the end of the first island in Crash 1. You won't really experience some problems until the third warp room, and that's really only if you're 100%ing. Just beating the levels won't be too hard until about warp room 4. Again, compare that to Crash 1 where beating levels was hell on its own. 100%ing it is a lot easier too, since dying doesn't reset the boxes and TNT crates will blow up off screen and still count. Both of these issues were more game design flaws rather than difficulty, though no deaths would be implemented into no death routes. Routes where you cannot die before reaching them, and many hold extra boxes or gems. These routes can be pretty difficult with some of the gimmicks I mentioned earlier being implemented full force, like the apes in the ruins still chunking logs for no goddamn reason. There are also just hidden routes in general that lead to different gems, like this area in one of the sewer levels. By the way, this area used to kick my ass in particular because of these robots, but did you know you could pull up while hand climbing? Yeah, I did not know that until I started recording for this video, and I've beaten this game like 5 times already. Guess I'm gonna get in here. There are also hidden areas guided by 90s bullshit cryptic memes, which leads to secret levels or secret entrances to levels that contain the rest of the boxes. And believe me, you're gonna want to find them when you waste your time getting all the boxes without going through those sections. The original secret levels, on the other hand, mostly consist of night fog variations of level styles, and these suck especially when they make you backtrack or have to kill yourself with Polar if you miss a box. These extra challenges and the need to break every crate you see will keep you from ever thinking about how straight the line is, especially when it comes to the difficulty. Now, there are some places on Warp Room 4, and my god, it is a load of shit. So let's start with the Snow Forest levels that get introduced in this Warp Room. And Jesus Christ, man, there's a no death route here. These Piranha Plant wannabes spew out these bombs with ridiculous hitboxes and can kill you within an inch of a pixel. Some of these bombs being very sporadic too, making it so hard to dodge them. On top of that, there are these bees with terrible hitboxes as well. See the pattern here? That will sting you. On top of that, completing the death route, you'll need to backtrack to get all the boxes in a game where backtracking can be such a pain in the ass because of the camera while on a path with electric field and freaking bees. Oh my god. Will you stop killing me? But those levels aren't even the worst. While the other two environments just get more aggressive enemies, the last snow level, Cold Hard Crash, is where you really want to start crashing your head into the wall. The start of this level itself is not too bad, but guess what? Another no death route, and this one is full of bullshit. Ice physics, nitro crates, crushers, and enemies that can be vulnerable at certain times, and backtracking. What in the f were they thinking, bro? Every single problem in one go. Look at this shit. look at this shit. You gotta be pixel perfect. But oh, wait, there's not the end of it. You see, there's a gem at the end of the stage, and you think that going down this route after backtracking will lead you back to the death route panel, but no. You just skipped the rest of the ice cave section and missed all of those boxes. What in the fuck, man? God damn. You have to go through that route to get the boxes, then backtrack back to the beginning of the route so you can get the rest of the boxes. Whoever designed this, I need you to go jump off a building in GTA. FBI is not catching me today. After all of that, you finally complete this level, and with all of the boxes. Okay, look. Even with all of that mess, there was still a rhythm, and it took a lot of deaths, but I found that rhythm and it helped me complete the level even at its worst. Crash still has its rhythm. You just have to be able to keep up with it, and honestly, when you're able to, it brings not only great satisfaction, but a craving for more. It's like a bad drug addiction, or banging your head up against the wall, except the adrenaline rush doesn't have any bad side effects besides making you want to pull your hair out. It's why Crash Bandicoot is Crash Bandicoot. That toughness, that tough love is what is needed. Not everyone's gonna get in, and I mean some just won't make it all the way, but they will at least try and try again and keep trying and being stubborn enough to someday beat it and become one with the rhythm in the game. Now, what about those space levels in Warp Room 5? Well, I think that and the bosses deserve their own section. So, while we've been helping Cortex, other characters have been trying to communicate with Crash. Coco will come by every once in a while just to tell you the obvious.
Crash! Thank goodness. I hacked into Cortex's computer and found detailed schematics for an improved Cortex Vortex and a suspicious-looking space station. I'm not sure, but Cortex might be trying.
And when you get a gem in the level, Embryo will show up.
So, you were helping Cortex gather crystals, yet you have acquired a gem. Interesting. Well, Crash, you know this. As long as you are allied with Cortex, you are my sworn enemy, and I will do anything in my power to stop you. If the fate of the world is truly your concern, you must gather the gems, not the crystals. If you obtain all 42 gems, I can use them to focus a laser beam that will destroy Cortex and the space station he's created. Until then, I must use my forces to stop you from gathering crystals.
Essentially, there's a coup between the doctors, so all of the enemies you fight, including most of the bosses, are from Embryo, which if he wanted you to get the gems, then why not stop putting all this crap in the way? The only gems not guarded by him really are the color gems, which are needed to get some of the regular gems in some levels. Most of the color gems have some unorthodox method of getting them, and that cryptic 90s hidden bullshit rears its ugly head again. Want the blue gem? Well, you need to beat the first level without breaking any boxes. A sin, honestly, unless you're speedrunning. Want the purple gem? Go in a specific set of nitro crates put in a staircase that don't explode. Wait. That's actually kind of genius. But you get sent to this hellish room with these musket bastards and enemies just standing in the way. Really puts the phrase, put it right between the eyes, to another level. Literally. Point is, both doctors are making it a pain to help either of them out, and not helping are these bosses. Now, bosses in the first game are not too hard, just kind of tricky to understand how to attack, and for the most part, this applies here too, except for the Komodo brothers. These guys are pushover, they're jobbers. Ripperoo is back and has just as much personality as ever. In fact, all the bosses do, and that's what makes them so iconic. The tricky part may be finding a pattern, or in Tiny's case, finding out the right platform to jump on. You know, you think a boss fight with a muscle-bound tiger would be more physical, but I guess his power must be tiny too. Compensate much? After fighting the Embryo bosses, we have to get the crystal to Dr. Engine. This is a new assistant to Cortex that appeared in the opening cutscene.
The remaining 25 slave crystals from the surface. How do you expect to retrieve them when we don't have any Earthbound operatives left?
Of course, he tries to betray us, but his boss fight ends up being one of the most unique in the game. Instead of spitting into his robot, you need to throw Wampa Fruit at it while dodging his lasers and missiles. Wampa Fruit must be really strong to be doing this much damage. This boss fight does challenge your current mindset because you need to focus on platforming while attacking or you will die. It's an interesting combination that was able to communicate both elements instead of just one of them like in the previous fight. Crash beats Dr. Engine and Cortex is obviously pissed.
What is your problem, Bandicoot? I will not ask you again to bring me the crystals. Obtain the remaining 5 crystals, Crash, and bring them to me.
Well, all that's left is Cortex as we enter the final frontier, space. If Warp Room 4 was enough to make you jump off a building, then you ain't seen this yet. Warp Room 5, aka Space, throws everything at you like a final area should, except some of it is just plain terrible design. Narrow hallways even for a Crash game, enemies with wonky hitboxes in these narrow hallways within confined platforms. Seriously, these robots got to go. And the scientists, like bruh, step off. Not even the platforms are safe. One move and you're dead. As bad as all this can be, I expect this for a final level. It's testing everything. It's just something feel really, really off. You even have backtracking here with some of the worst hazard placement. I mean, look at these shrink rays. You might as well kiss no death goodbye. And you know what? There's also a no death route here too. Oh my god. But that's not even the worst part of the death route. You see, in order to get to that death route or get all the boxes which is on that death route, you have to basically complete the regular level and backtrack back to the death route all without dying. And there are sections where you can't even get back unless you hit certain enemies. And if you miss, well, you gotta restart the whole level. Who the hell designed this shit, man? Oh my god, there wasn't even something as bad as this back in Crash 1. I mean, stuff was hard, but it was never like insane like this. You know, most of Crash 2 isn't as hard as Crash 1, but man, this is just ridiculous. If I were to say the difficulty of getting past Crash 2 level compared to the first game, I would say a lot of that deals with just dealing with the stuff in the level compared to just getting past level in Crash 1. Getting past level was the hardest part, even when getting the boxes. But here, dealing with the level gimmicks is what really makes them hard, and they become just as hard as the original game, if not harder in some cases near the very end. It's just that it's, you know, spread out more, I guess, balanced than it was in the first game. And I'm fine with levels like this because it still has that formula of having a flow state, but there's always bullshit when it comes to it. Like, for instance, you have a whole section where you have to have all the color gems, which is something that happened in the last game, but this time the path has no checkpoints. You have to beat the entire thing with no checkpoints, and look at this placement. Oh my freaking god, who the hell designed it? I want to know a name. I want to know a specific name for who designed these space levels. God damn. And that's not even the worst of it, because guess what, we have the second vehicle that was advertised, the jetpack. Ooh, this plays like ass. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse if they left 2 jetpack levels at the end. On one hand, there's only 2, and on the other hand, they're there in the first place. This controls so bad, and they put all these hazards in the way, and it makes the control the hardest thing in the game. You control going left, right, up, or down, and then press a button to go forward. The problem is how long it takes to just do the action, like moving in a direction. Plus, it gets confusing trying to find out what is the right button to press, and by the time you do, bam, you're dead again. Whoop-de-damn-do. It sucks such a cool concept could turn out to be so trash, and they had the gall to advertise this in the back of the box when it comes in this late in the game and plays this bad. God. Once beating the final levels, we can finally take on Cortex.
Yes! My plan is nearly complete, and I have you, Crash Bandicoot, to thank for it. Engine? What's happening? What's that? Is he stealing our signal?
Crash! Cortex isn't going to use the crystals to contain the planet's energy. He's going to harness the force and use it to power the super Cortex vortex he has built on his space station. One blast of the ray will cover the entire world, turning everyone into Cortex's mindless slaves. Crash, don't let him have those crystals!
Engine, you fool! She's telling him everything! Ah, yes. We're back now. Pardon the, interruption. Crash, bring me Chris.
Wow, who would have guessed it? He betrayed us. What a shocker. Yeah, right. Cortex has the worst boss fight in the game. The problem? Well, you see the jetpack. But honestly, it's easy to get to him. It's just that he's too easy. Hit him 3 times and it's over. It sucks. Last time we had this epic boss fight on top of a blimp where he shot disintegrating laser balls at you, and now he's just running away with a crystal in his hand. Never thought I'd see Cortex reduced to such a jobber status. The only thing he's striking back is his own back now. Once beating Cortex, the day is saved, and if you have all the gems, Cortex Space Station is shot down thanks to Brio, ending Cortex's ambition for good, for now. This last part of the game is probably the weakest part because of how the levels and bosses are. Look, I complain about this game kicking my ass, but it's all in good, addicting fun. But there are some levels here that just are plain bad or boring, like the jetpack ones. It all serves to make space look like a final failure rather than a final frontier. But there are some good levels here still, regardless of that. And once you get past wanting to slam your head into a brick or just throw yourself off the bridge, I think you'll have some fun here. Crash 2 is a frustratingly good game, much like the first. The pain of dying over and over again only fuels that terrible addiction, and yet it provides some of the greatest rewards of accomplishment. Getting rid of all the flak from the original, like not having a save system, makes the difficulty better. You want the player to be at fault if they fail, not the game, and Crash succeeds at that. I know it seems like I've ranted this entire vid, but I do love the game, and for a while it was my favorite, but after playing it again, I think its biggest issue is that adventure, or the lack of a feeling of adventure like in the first game. I know it's just background things, but the lack in variety does start to wane on you, especially when you play this game as much as I have. And compared to future titles, and even the first game, it kinda gets redundant once you hit the 5th jungle style level. Even in the last warp room there's a jungle level, but guess what? It's
at night.
Truly, we are reaching some new ground here. But environments aside, it doesn't bring down the game significantly. Again, level design is on point all the way through. It's just that not having this sense of progressing adventure really kicks in as you play. Despite those frustrations, I still find myself coming back to this game and seeing how much I have improved or new ways to beat the level. It's still amazing how much was thought out when it came to perfecting these stages. You might have noticed I've never mentioned the soundtrack, and that's honestly because you barely hear it, and when you do, it's not much to talk about, and that's why I didn't. But with all that being said, man, I think Crash 2 really is the sequel it needed to be and set the franchise on a good roadmap when it came to its formula. A lot of the little kinks from the first game are gone, and in its place are some great ideas. They only help make Crash what Crash is today. As the series continued, it would expand on a lot of these ideas like the vehicle levels and focus less on the platforming elements or the linear platforming elements of the original games. But Crash 2 is kind of that expanded form from Crash 1, and I think it's the last game to kind of do that for a while. For Crash 3 did a lot of different things, and it's fun in its own way, but Crash 2 sticks out for, well, being an expansion of 1, really. So, with all that being said, if you can stand the difficulty, which if you played Crash 1, you definitely should be fine on that, then you played one of the best platformers of its generation. Crash 2 strikes back with a vengeance as an amazing sequel. Hey, well, thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and follow for more content on retro games and gaming in general. And if you want to see more content, always hit the notification bell, subscribe, and well, watch some of my older videos if you're interested in that. And if you want to get more involved, I have a second channel for anime. If you want to go check that channel out, go ahead. And if you want to get more involved with streams that I'll be starting, and also just, generally talking to me and doing some, events, then join Discord, get involved. I have the Discord link in the description below. Check it out. With that being said, hope you guys have a damn good one. And always remember, this is the J Blast Network signing out. And never forget, you gotta believe.